Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the most important events in the history of the Church, the Council of Nicaea. This was a high-stakes theological showdown that would literally define what it means to be a Christian for the next 2,000 years.
And our story kicks off with a conflict that was so intense, so fiery, that legend says it actually ended with a punch. A moment of, shocking violence right in the middle of a deeply religious debate.
So get this, the man who supposedly threw the punch was the future Saint Nicholas. Yep, that Saint Nicholas. And he allegedly slapped a priest named Arius. But why? What could possibly lead to that? Well, they were fighting over the single most important question in Christianity. Who exactly is Jesus Christ?
Now, this was way more than just a minor disagreement. It was a full-blown theological crisis, a firestorm of ideas that honestly threatened to shatter the early church into 1,000 different pieces.
Okay, so let's break this down. On one side, you had Arius. He was arguing that Jesus, who is also called the Logos or the Word of God, was this incredible supreme being, but still ultimately a creature made by God. On the other side, you had theologians like Athanasius, who insisted, no, Jesus is fully God, co-eternal with the Father, not made, but part of the Godhead from the very beginning.
What's really fascinating here are the stakes. This wasn't just some abstract philosophical debate. For Athanasius, this was about salvation itself. His argument was incredibly powerful. If Jesus wasn't fully God and fully human, if he didn't assume our complete human nature, then he couldn't possibly save it.
The early church fathers had this amazing analogy for it. They said our human nature is like a cold, dirty piece of iron. But when you plunge that iron into the fire of Christ's divinity, it takes on the properties of the fire. It becomes both iron and fire. So you see, if Christ wasn't truly that divine fire, this incredible transformation, this divinization, well, it was completely impossible.
So this theological war, it quickly spilled out of the churches and became a huge political problem for the most powerful man in the world, the Roman Emperor Constantine. So Constantine had just unified the entire empire through military force, and the last thing he needed was this religious infighting tearing it apart from the inside. He basically saw a unified church as the glue for a unified empire. So in the year 325, he does something absolutely unprecedented. He calls a global summit of bishops to sort this all out.
So, around 318 bishops made the journey to the city of Nicea, which is in modern-day Turkey.
And we have to remember, these guys weren't a bunch of sheltered academics. Not at all. Many of them were, as one historian called them, a council of martyrs. They literally had the physical scars of persecution on their bodies, missing eyes, maimed hands, from the years before Constantine made Christianity legal. For them, this wasn't theory. The nature of the person they had suffered for was deeply, deeply personal.
After weeks of fierce, passionate, and probably very loud debate, the council forged a statement of faith that would echo for the next 1,700 years. We know it as the Nicene Creed.
And here's a crucial little detail you might miss at first glance. The creed doesn't start with, I believe. By starting with, we believe, it was making a powerful statement. It emphasized a communal faith, this idea that we're saved together as one body, the church. The creed just systematically dismantles Arius' whole argument. It declares Jesus isn't some lesser being, but is fully divine, light from light, true God from true God. And this whole brilliant conclusion really hinges on a single, powerful, and you could even say explosive Greek word. And that word was homoousios. It was the theological knockout punch. It means of the same substance. By saying Jesus was homoousios with the Father, the council left zero room for doubt. He wasn't just like God, he is God, sharing the exact same divine essence.
But, if Constantine was hoping that everyone would just sign a document and go home happy, he was wrong. The decision at Nicaea didn't end the fight. In a lot of ways, it was just the beginning of the next round.
And this is just a fascinating twist in the story. The Arians didn't just vanish. No, they regrouped, they got political allies, and for a huge chunk of the 4th century, it seriously looked like their side might actually win. Athanasius, the hero of Nicaea, was exiled 5 separate times as the political tides turned against him.
And here is the absolute ultimate irony. Constantine himself, the very emperor who called the council specifically to stamp out Arianism, was baptized on his deathbed by an Arian bishop. You just can't make this stuff up. History is rarely that simple.
So, who kept the Nicene faith alive through all this turmoil? Well, centuries later, thinkers like John Henry Newman looked back and concluded that it was often the laity, the regular, everyday believers who held on tight to this core truth, even when many of their own bishops and emperors were siding with the Arians.
Okay, so if the whole aftermath was that chaotic, why do we remember Nicaea as this huge defining victory? Because that core decision, that one powerful word, it ultimately survived. It became the bedrock of Christian belief, and maybe surprisingly, it's a huge force for unity even today.
That 1700-year-old creed isn't just some historical document collecting dust. It's the actual foundation for the modern ecumenical movement. It's the common ground that allows groups like the World Council of Churches to even exist. And now, as we're getting close to its 1700th anniversary in 2025, that ancient creed is sparking brand new talks about unity. Everything from setting a common date for Easter to new dialogues between Catholic and Orthodox leaders. So the legacy of Nicaea isn't just about a dusty debate from the distant past. It's a living story, a testament to an idea so powerful it has literally shaped world history. And it's still right at the heart of the Christian story, a story about division for sure, but also about the constant, challenging, and hopeful search for unity.